Alright, and now we are on topic 6, inferences. So the main question that the SAT will ask you for an inferences question is which choice most logically completes the text. Basically, which answer is the best answer that makes sense that you can put in a blank like this one. And there's a 3-step strategy that's extremely easy that you can follow. So the first thing is you want to skim all of the passage. Don't read every single word. Just kind of look over it and take note of which words are either details or transition words, as we covered in topic 5, and make sure if you see a topic sentence like this one, usually the first sentence, wheat and barley were the most important staple crops in most ancient river civilizations, definitely take note of that too. On your College Board Blue Book test, you'll be able to use a highlighter, and you'll be able to use multiple colors of that highlighter so you can make sure that your answers are perfectly coordinated. So now we're going to just take a look at an example question here. Alright, wheat and barley were important staple crops in most ancient river civilizations. Archaeologist Dora Fullman argues that the absence of wheat and barley deposits in the Indus River Valley, modern-day India, before 1900 BCE suggests that prior to this time, these crops were imported to, rather than grown in, the region. Historians, however, note that several millennia ago, soil and weather conditions in the area were not favorable for preserving evidence of these grains for long periods. The fact that wheat and barley do not appear in the region's archaeological record, therefore, and then we have a blank. So let's take note of what we have up here. So we already kind of highlighted our topic sentence. Now we're going to take a look at details and transition words. So our first detail here, archaeologist Dora Fullman argues that the absence of wheat and barley deposits in the Indus River Valley before 1900 BCE suggests that crops were imported rather than grown. However, it's a transition word, however, historians note that several millennia ago, so that would have been thousands of years ago, around and before this time period, soil and weather conditions in the area were not favorable for preserving evidence, right? The fact that wheat and barley do not appear, therefore, okay, what? Well, the historians here are contrasting, and we see that because of the usage of the word however, right? Therefore, they're saying that her idea might not be true. Why? Because if soil and weather conditions couldn't preserve the evidence that there was wheat or barley, then how could archaeologist Dora Fullman know that there was wheat or barley or not? Right? So A suggests that staple grains were often imported by Indus River Valley civilizations prior to 1900 BC. No. This, therefore, is trying to prove the historians, however. A is trying to prove choice. A is trying to prove Dora Fullman's point here, right? Now B says does not eliminate the possibility that these grains were grown in the Indus River Valley before 900 BCE. I would say this is the correct answer. Remember, you should always eliminate all answers before moving on to your next question, right? But this makes sense because it's eliminating the possibility, right? Because if evidence was not preserved, then they would not know if there was wheat or barley. Now, it is difficult to explain if these crops were grown. Historians believe that it's true that soil was not favorable for preserving evidence. So it's not necessarily difficult to explain, we just don't know. So there's a possibility. Proves that pre-1900 BC staple grain deposits are not often observed in Indus River Valley archaeological sites. Well, we know this. We know that they can't really find anything because there's no way to preserve the soil, right? There's no way to preserve the evidence in the soil. We know this, but that's not related to this idea. This therefore connects to the however. Again, we're using transition words, right? And this idea here, right, is saying this. It's not mentioning this fact. This was kind of the first part of the paragraph here. And that's all you need to know for your inferences.